What if a single oversized W hidden in XRP's long-term chart could turn every $2 into 40? And what if missing the middle of that letter is the one mistake that kept so many of us from kind of walking away with generational profit? So picture this, right? I'm sitting in my kitchen at 2 a.m. staring at an empty mug that once held enough espresso to power a small marching band, scrolling through charts while the cat kind of judges my life choices. Now my screen looks like modern art, squiggles, fib levels, and giant green blob where I accidentally highlighted half of the page. But then I notice a shape that I've only read about in trading textbooks, the legendary W pattern. Except this one isn't the little, polite double bottom most people draw during lunch breaks. It's the Godzilla of W's stretching back 7 years. Suddenly, that dull 2 a.m. haze snaps into HD. Could this be the map to XRP's next treasure island? Okay, let me rewind. January 2018. XRP peaked around $3.80. Everyone's talking moon missions, Lambos, and quitting day jobs to become full-time, basil farmers. I don't know, right? Crypto Twitter was weird. Right, fast forward, of course, to March 2020, and we're wearing sweatpants 24/7, panic buying toilet paper, right? And XRP is coughing up one of those kind of ugliest lows that I've ever seen. 10 cents and some change. And of course, I had to buy. Now that was the kind of first pit of the W. So imagine dropping from a kind of penthouse to the basement in one elevator ride. That's how it felt. But crypto never stays quiet. And by April of 2021, XRP had clawed its way up to $1.96. And I remember refreshing my phone every 5 minutes, like checking the oven light when you're baking cookies, only these cookies could pay off my student loans. Then, kaboom. Terra's implosion rocks the market, and XRP plunges to about 29 cents. My group chat went from kind of bullish memes to tumbleweed in 24 hours. That, friends, marked the second pit of our giant W. Now you can cue the comeback montage. Late 2024 sees a surge that kind of slings XRP right across the center line of that W. The breakout feels electric until January of 2025 slaps everyone in the face with resistance at $3.40. Talk about reaching for the cookie jar just to have your older sibling move it to the top shelf. Now, XRP retreats. It sulks around $2.20 and traders start asking whether the breakout is real or just another cruel tease. 4 months of sideways chop later, and here we are, still hovering in the low twos. The market equivalent of pressing the snooze button over and over. Now, enter EGRAG Crypto, the chart whisperer whose analysis could make Fibonacci himself raise an eyebrow. Now, EGRAG points to our supersized W and lays out 3 targets: $15, $22, and the granddaddy $40. Right? Picture ordering fries and the cashier secretly upgrades you to the family bucket. Now that's the kind of upside that we're talking about here. A 578% jump just to hit $15, an 895% moonwalk to $22, and a 1,709% rocket ride to $40. Now those numbers make my calculator sweat. But here is where reality taps us on the shoulder. EGRAG isn't yelling YOLO to $40. In fact, he's practically waving a neon sign that reads "Take profits early, people." Because trimming the kind of, or at least I should say timing and trimming, they kind of do the same thing, but timing the absolute top is of course like trying to snag the last slice of pizza in a very busy office fridge. You'll probably end up empty-handed and, well, hangry. Now, he suggests, beginning to scale out at around $6 to $7. That's the point where gains are, well, juicy, euphoria is high, and greed whispers, just one more candle, we got this. And that whisper is how portfolios end up like abandoned theme parks, echoes of past glory, and a seagull pecking at the popcorn. So let me put it in everyday terms then. Imagine that you bought a funky collectible sneaker at $100. Overnight, hype catapults its price to $700. Do you list it on eBay immediately, or wait in hopes that a mysterious billionaire will pay you $7,000? The most sensible humans out there will lock in at least some of that six-fold gain. Now, crypto here is no different, except instead of shoe boxes, we're juggling digital tokens that can evaporate faster than a Snapchat message. Okay, speaking of some real talk here. Here's the problem that most traders are going to face, and that's paralysis by overanalysis, right? We scroll through endless Twitter threads, right? Each promising the secret sauce, moving averages, RSI divergences, Elliott waves, I swear by those myself, moon phases even, right? Maybe even what my cat had for breakfast. With XRP stuck in a $2-ish box, it's easy to think I'll pounce when momentum kicks in. The trouble is, by the time that momentum punches the gas, half the move is often gone. And that's why recognizing patterns like this jumbo W really matters. It offers a roadmap before our tour bus even leaves. But pattern alone is not a golden ticket. Fundamentals, they count. Sentiment sentiment and fundamentals, they are very important things. And settlement talk with the SEC may flare up, right? New on-demand liquidity corridors open, or macro markets throw a tantrum, right? So here's the kind of cheat code. You got to diversify your information diet, right? If you only nibble on price charts, you're probably going to miss the headlines that move them, right? And that's why our free educational Discord server, the link hiding below in the description, exists for a reason, right? So think of it like, at least as the kind of Hogwarts dining hall for crypto nerds, minus the floating candles. But with way better memes, right? If you jump in, you can ask questions, you can share charts, you can lurk, whatever fuels your brain. All right, it's time for some stats, but without all of the headache. XRP's current consolidation between $2 and $2.30 has kind of lasted roughly 120 days. That's kind of periodic kind of dips below $2, kind of got scooped up faster than Black Friday TVs, suggesting strong hands are defending that level. Meanwhile, of course, RSI on the monthly timeframe has curled up from oversold territory, like a kind of slinky deciding to climb stairs instead of tumbling down. The volume? Well, still muted compared to the breakout in November 2024. Yet, each green candle prints slightly higher than the last, hinting at accumulation. Now, these are clues. They're breadcrumbs left by whales in a very dark forest of fear and doubt. Now, why does a W even work, you might be thinking? Well, psychologically, it signals that sellers tried twice to break the same floor and failed. Now, buyers, when they kind of pound that table, they push price past the midpoint. High, right? And off we go. This is a classic crowd behavior, like toddlers discovering that if two of them jump on a seesaw, they can launch toys across the room. Except in markets, those toys are dollar bills and grown-ups cry when they fly away. So let's visualize the coming phases then. Phase 1, the retest is complete. Price hovers around $2.20. Phase 2, volume flickers. Breakouts are above $3.40. Social media buzz reawakens, and your aunt, who thought XRP was a brand of printer ink, messages you, is it too late to buy? Now that's your first emotional kind of siren. Phase 3, surge to previous all-time highs around $3.80. At that point, news outlets dust off their 2018 bull run headlines. Phase 4, we enter price discovery, blasting through $5 and eyeballing $6 to $7. Now that, according to EGRAG, is where sensible people skim the cream off the top. So if momentum keeps pumping, we smash through $10. A $15 XRP becomes the kind of centerpiece of clickbait thumbnails everywhere. You know, the ones with glowing eyes and red arrows. And at $22, you'll see TikTok dances, choreographed to candlestick charts. Jokes, of course. And if lightning does indeed strike $40, well, expect inflatable unicorns on Wall Street's lawns. And remember, those parabolic finales are usually the shortest chapters in the story. So here's a little anecdote, right? Back in 2021, I rode a mid-cap altcoin from 5 cents to $2. I had a plan. I promised myself that I would sell chunks at 50 cents, $1, and so on. But greed cracked the steering wheel and, out of my hand. And I held through the climb. I watched green turn to euphoria. Then, wham, market tanked 80% in a weekend. My brilliant plan to become a kind of cautionary meme, right? It kind of taught me that selling isn't betrayal, it's just self-care. So kind of like drinking water between coffees, right? You do so you don't vibrate into another dimension. Now, EGRAG's suggestion, it echoes that same wisdom, right? Scale out. Don't try to kind of body slam the very tip of the peak. Use limit orders if you're kind of forgetful or easily swayed by FOMO. Maybe unload kind of 20% at $7 and maybe another 20% at $10 and so on, right? And while doing that, you want to check the fees, the slippage, and maybe even test withdrawals. There's nothing worse than watching price spike while your exchange verification wheel spins like a cursed loading screen. Now, speaking of exchanges, here's a quick shout out to Kraken. I've been using Kraken Pro when I needed deep liquidity and a UI that doesn't look like Windows 95. For full disclosure though, the Kraken link in the description is an affiliate link, so clicking it costs you nothing but throws a few breadcrumbs our way to support the channel and, of course, my unhealthy espresso habit. Plus, new signups often get sweet trading fee discounts, so it's a bit of a double win. You can check out using the link in the description below. Use it, don't use it. Just know that if you do click that link, it is an affiliate link and it supports the channel here. All right, let's sprinkle in some wider market context then, right? Bitcoin dominance has kind of slipped 3 percentage points in the past quarter, freeing up capital for altcoins. Ethereum's roll-ups are booming, but gas fees still nibble at wallets. So remittance-focused tokens like XRP look very attractive. Meanwhile, of course, cross-border payment giants partners quietly kind of with RippleNet for corridors in Asia and Latin America. It's kind of like streaming wars then, right? Everyone battles for viewers, but the company with the smoothest delivery pipeline usually wins. And one stat that you need to tattoo on your brain is 65% of XRP's supply is now sitting in wallets holding for longer than 12 months. That's according to on-chain analytics firm Glassblock, which means the majority are either die-hard believers or deep frozen by lost passwords. Either way, flow is tightening, and low flow plus sudden demand equals a volatile upside. So let's talk about the risks then, right? Regulation remains a thundercloud. A single headline, positive or negative, can melt or double your gains. Liquidity can dry up if macro markets panic, and of course, that W pattern, it could morph into the dreaded M pattern if bulls get lazy and bears start lifting heavy weights. So set alarms, place stop losses if that fits your strategy, and please never invest more money than you're willing to lose. The market doesn't care if or at least that your landlord allows for, late payments, or whether it's on the 15th or the 1st or even the 30th of the month. The market just simply doesn't care. Now, let's fast forward with me here. Imagine XRP hits $15. You've trimmed enough to pay off that nagging credit card balance and maybe even book a vacation that doesn't involve camping in your cousin's backyard. Now you breathe easier, scrolling charts without that desperate need to see green. And that's kind of the peace of mind of profit taking buys you, right? Now, if XRP sails to $22 or beyond, the leftover stack is just pure upside. It's house money, or at least as Vegas kind of tourists maybe call it. And if it fizzles, well, you've already cashed out some chips. Either outcome becomes a story rather than a scar. And that brings us to the key moment in our narrative, the decision to act before the hype, guided by pattern, strategy, and a dash of common sense. Now, because the market is a carnival, right? Now, bright lights, they deceive us. Bankers will yell and rides spin fast enough to make you lose your phone and your lunch. But those who map the grounds in daylight don't stumble at night. So here is my reflection, right? The Gaussian kind of W on the XRP monthly chart is like the treasure map that someone left on the community corkboard. Some will, of course, glance, shrug, and, well, just keep walking on by. Others will take a photo, study the landmarks, and pack supplies. Which camp you fall into depends on one thing: discipline, right? No chart artistry, no secret Discord alpha. It's just plain, reliable discipline. So hit the description for that free educational Discord server. Drop in, share your exit strategy, or laugh at my caffeine-fueled typos. And if you're itching for a trading platform, then check out the Kraken crypto exchange through that affiliate link, right? It supports the channel and maybe it could support your portfolio. But again, check it all out and do so knowing all of the risks involved. Now, you can tap that subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this very wild crypto choose your own adventure story. And until then, may your trades be green and your coffee strong. And of course, your exit strategies even stronger. But of course, then this might just shock you. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and today's video has been for entertainment and educational purposes only.